boy. I cannot. I cannot feel anything right now. Much like the people in the movie.
I don't think they had emotions, or thoughts or feelings.
It was like some sort of weird David Cage. I wouldn't be surprised if David Cage had any.
It's a weird game.
Yeah.
I can't even push any buttons in this game.
Well, he does want to make films. He doesn't want to make games. He wants to make films. Maybe he did have something to do with this after all.
He just wants to make them with gross polygonal people and not real humans.
Okay, let's introduce us, start this podcast off. Hello, welcome to Everything But Music, folks. I am Even, and this is Cam.
Who are we? Who are these people? Who are you people?
I'm starting to question that myself, given the topic of this podcast. Who are we exactly?
I like that as soon as we're about to start discussing the dirty, gross sex movie, the church bells next door start immediately ringing. It's not too late. You can still find Jesus.
I may wait for tomorrow for that. But anyway, but before we start, though, audience people, my partner here, Cam, he did a thing the other day, this past Friday. I want you to go watch that thing before you do anything else.
I was wondering if you were spying on me and I did like a bad thing. And it was going to be like, and this is the topic of this podcast, actually, Cam has been exposed for, I don't know, what did I do that was bad yesterday? I showed up to work 5 minutes late. Damn, I'm ended.
Well, I mean, I do that pretty much every time I go to work, so...
Every time I go to work, I wish I could have showed up later. But yeah, I did indeed put up a video that you could go watch. Should you choose?
It's a really good video about
allegedly.
Barbie.
It's actually about Barbie, but it's allegedly good.
Pretty much the opposite of what we're talking about today.
Oh, I disagree.
The polar opposite. Yeah, so if you haven't watched that video, go watch that now before you start listening to this podcast. We'll wait for you. Don't worry about it.
Thank you. We'll be here for a while.
Anyway, also, again, before we start, we should mention that there will be spoilers, like many, many spoilers for the film of the topic.
Spoiler alert, they don't actually shop for paint at any point. The title is it's meant to throw you off the tracks. That's what I was hoping for.
What does the title even mean, 50 Shades of Grey? Is it like for his tie?
I mean, I don't know. Because like his name is Grey.
Yeah.
Like his name is Christian Grey, so that accounts for the gray part, but like the shades, and I don't know why there's that many. Like why specifically 50? I don't know. I hadn't thought about it. And again, this one is 50 Shades darker, so was the first one like the lightest possible shade, and now we've gone back to the darkest possible shade, because apparently there's only 50 shades. But if we're now 50 shades darker, then aren't we now on the first shade?
There's so many shades to go through. Which one do I pick?
These are the important questions.
Yeah.
There's so much shade to be thrown.
Yeah, that's actually what these movies are about. It's just the dilemma of choosing the perfect shade of gray, and there are 50 to choose from, but you can only choose one.
It's the invention of the color wheel. And how they rejected that and instead only painted things in gray.
Yeah, this movie was actually from the 1900s, and they digged it up and then put it on screen.
I'm pretty sure this is an adapted silent film. I think they dubbed the entire thing.
That's some impressive dubbing there. They managed to get the voices completely synced up to the lip movements.
They really had to imagine what the spanking would sound like. You just had to sit there and envision it in your head, man. That was real cinema.
So today we're going to be talking about the movie 50 Shades Darker, the sequel to the first film, 50 Shades of Grey, which are based off bad books, Twilight fanfiction books.
Believe it or not 49 Shades of Grey.
We were originally maybe going to talk about the first one,
no.
but Cam hasn't seen it, and I've only seen the first half of it, because well, I was planning to watch it on the Friday before we recorded, but well, 2 videos from my favorite content creators came out, and I decided to watch that instead. So yeah,
I would, in most cases, I would say bad life choices. But I don't know.
That's an exception to the rule.
Like 50 Shades of Grey, I'm okay with somebody watching my video instead of that. I'm not gonna play humble on that one.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll give you like the gist of what happened in the first movie, though.
They have sex
several times. Girl meets up with guy. He has a lot of ties. Girl's a virgin. Guy is into BDSM. He does a stupid thing, and then the girl leaves. And that's where we're at in this movie.
But okay, you're also forgetting the fact that he's like a multi-billionaire, supposedly very attractive. I feel like by my tone, I just kind of indicated I don't agree, but
if we're going off by the movie, then I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe a 6 or 7.
I mean, according to the movie, this man is like the sexiest man alive.
He's the most eligible billionaire bachelor
in Seattle, which, like, I mean, he's the least bearded man in Seattle. There was a character who had less of a beard than him. He's very rich, is critical to this movie. Movies about poor people are boring.
Yeah, that's why the Christmas Carol movies suck so bad.
Yeah, Charles Dickens.
Actually, hold on. That had a rich guy in there. Shit, I forgot.
I was gonna say, actually, that was the main character's problem was that he was too rich.
Yeah, I think I meant to say Oliver, which I've actually never seen.
As you can see, we're the most knowledgeable people to discuss this film.
Indeed we are. So let's actually get to it. Okay, so when did you first see this? Because I just saw this the other day.
I saw it last week. I saw it like the Saturday before Valentine's Day.
Okay, and let me point out, this was before I came up with the idea for talking about this in the podcast.
Yes, I did not see this movie. I did not see this movie in order to participate in this podcast. That is true. I actually saw this movie under false pretenses.
Okay.
My friend had told me that the actor Hugh Dancy was in this movie. I don't know if anyone knows. Anyone probably doesn't know who he is. He was in NBC's Hannibal, and we're both pretty big fans of that show. So she was like, oh my gosh, he's in this super serious show and is also going to be in 50 Shades Darker. We totally have to go see 50 Shades Darker now. And we arrived at the theater and like watched like the opening credits roll, only to see Hugh Dancy's name absolutely nowhere. And then had to sit through the rest of the movie realizing, damn it, Hugh Dancy is actually not in this movie.
How long did it take for you to come to that realization at a
I mean, I realized, like, I looked at my friend, I'm like, he's not in the opening credits. He's not in the movie. I was like, did you make sure? Like, did you validate he was in the movie? And we found out that no, he just wasn't. He just, like, there were only, at best, rumors that he was going to be in this movie that my friend just immediately assumed were true, and then brought me along to go see 50 Shades Darker. I can't say I was like angry, but I was disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, I can see
I was a bit upset.
I can see why you would think he may be in that movie because he was in Hannibal, but I think what actually tipped you off was that he was Marshall Mallow in Legends of Oz, Dorothy's Return.
Really?
Remember that movie?
No.
You don't? Oh,
no.
Man.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, it was that shitty ass computer animated Oz movie that came out like a couple years ago.
That sounds gross.
Yeah, he was Marshall Mallow. That is a confusing pun.
I've only seen like Wizard of Oz and like Oz is Great and Powerful. That one was lame.
Yeah, this could be a topic for one of your videos.
Oh God. Poor Hugh Dancy. I would do a video about Hugh Dancy in a terrible, terrible, terrible animated film. As I said myself, I am quickly running out of ideas.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I saw 50 Shades of Grey, moving on from that, but I saw 50 Shades Darker, the other day because the podcast idea. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go see it. I'll go, and I got my buddy to come along with me to share the misery, as I put it, towards him. And by the end of it, he told me specifically he did not want to see another movie with me ever again. So
I mean, fair. I'm not gonna act like that's like, it's not a completely ridiculous reaction. Just mostly.
Yeah. So like 50 Shades Darker, I have no idea where to even start with this fucking train wreck. It's
the beginning is a pretty solid start, where the beginning threw me off in a lot of ways, partially because of just how like long the intro sequence is. Did that strike you? And just how nothing happened?
I mean, that's kind of what struck me about like
the entire movie.
Well, no, the first
Oh,
movie.
okay.
Like it took like 40 or 40 minutes for anything interesting to happen.
Oh, I don't mean like plot wise. I mean like the first 4 minutes of the movie, it felt like we're just her riding the bus to work. I don't know. It felt particularly annoying to me in this movie. I don't know why. It might have been because I was eagerly awaiting one of the names appearing on screen to be Hugh Dancy's.
Well, I mean, I didn't go into this movie with that pretense in mind, so I guess I just thought differently.
I guess it was just like, well, like they have like a very brief like flashback to like Christian Grey's
that
terrible childhood,
which I mean is referenced but like never quite
shown. never brought up really again.
At least the abusive father part.
Not at least not much. Yeah. It's certainly not enough to open the film with it. They just kind of were like, we need people to understand that, because it's a weird type of like prefacing his not at all okay behavior in a way that kind of makes it seem okay. That kind of particularly bothered me about the film.
Yeah, but he did kind of mention in the first movie that his neighbor had seduced him when he was 15, and for like 6 years he was a submissive. I thought that would be enough, but then this movie adds in the abusive
he
childhood
also
part.
Had to be abused by his father.
Yeah.
And like I understand, like, okay, try and make him sympathetic and everything, but he'll like just do shit that is creepy and not at all related, I guess.
Yeah, and again, like the whole neighbor thing, like they're still friends, business partners, and that's kind of fucked up in and of itself. I thought that would be enough, but
we need more tragic backstory, and so like it opens like, so she like works at like a publishing house of like books and such. And one of my favorite scenes, I gotta say, like one of my favorite moments in the movie where I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna be able to make it through this is where like there's a very like almost transcendentally awkward scene where she like walks out of the building and says hi to her coworker, who is not an important character. She only appears one other time. And just like, oh, hi. And then there's like a 10-second like shot of this coworker just looking confused and awkward because she said hi and then left. Do you remember what I'm talking about even?
I think I do.
And the reason it made me laugh, because it was so awkward. Like my friend and I were just sitting there like, why is that in the movie? Like, I feel like it's the only type of thing that, like, if you're watching it and then, like, at the moment you'd be like, oh, yeah, that's weird. Why is that there? The reason it's there is because she has a conversation with Anastasia later, and they clearly didn't want that conversation to be the first time she appears on screen, so they, like, forced in, like, an awkward shot of her looking awkward. Just so it's like, oh, she was here the whole time. You know her. Everyone loves Hannah. the favorite character. It was really hilarious. And then like she, okay, like I guess we're just gonna have to go through like the entire plot almost. But like then, well, like there's only like a solid like what, like 5 minutes of screen time before her and Christian are back together again.
I'd argue 10 to be honest, but it doesn't really matter.
Okay, so like I did get the impression the first movie ended on a note of like, oh, are they gonna get back together? Like she left and now they're apart.
Okay, so like the first movie ended, like the BDSM was kind of sort of happening, and like this whole, okay, I want you to be my submissive, I am the dominant. Christian is the dominant, Anna is the submissive, by the way, if I need to point that out. They have this contract in which that she can't talk about this relationship. And if she breaks that contract, then she gets punished, so to speak. So what she does towards the end of the movie, to my knowledge, from the plot description I read, is
the Wikipedia plot description.
Yes, exactly, yes. Thank you, Wikipedia, by the way. She asked Chris, I almost forgot his name, Christian, to demonstrate what would happen if she were to break the rules. So, like, she's asking for a demonstration. She's asking to be punished, which I think is kind of stupid.
It's quite strange. I was assuming when you say that she meant, like, I don't know, like, just, like, explain it, or... like, here, demonstrate on this pillow or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like, apparently she wants to understand Christian psychologically because, I mean, she's, like, in love with him and she wants to be with him forever, but he's so closed and unemotional or something like that. So this rule-breaking punishment involves Christian... Here, let me read the description. Christian whips Anna's buttocks 6 times with a belt, making her count out each strike.
Oh.
Oh? Is that all you have to say? Oh?
Okay. I mean, that's cool, I guess.
Yeah, it's...
Wait, is that the whole thing?
Yeah, that's it.
And then she left because that was a bad idea. She didn't like that?
Yeah, she didn't like that, so she just went away.
I mean, understandable.
True, yes.
I guess that's one, like, underlying thing with, like, this movie for me that just kind of, like, I don't know, it wasn't what I was expecting, is that, like, it's not that weird. Like, it's not weird enough to be, like, the basis of the film like it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm not saying that, like, it isn't, like that's the focus of the movie, but I mean, like, I feel like it's now known as, like, ooh, it's, like, the kinky sex movie. And, like, I don't know. It's the stupid sex movie. That was the thing that was more about it for me. I was like, yo, I came out of that movie, like, if you are crazy, turned on by having really just dumb sex and just the literally the least sensical sexual activity you could engage in, then this movie is for you, man.
Yeah.
Because some of it is just like, why? What are you doing? Like, what are you doing right now? And not even in, like, a sense of, like, I don't see how anyone could be into this. It's like, no, you said you were going to do a thing, and then you're not, like... I guess we can explain as it goes on, but some of it is just like, no, that's not how that works. That's not what you should be doing. So they meet up at, like, like, one of Anastasia's other friends, who, by the way, I think she only hangs out with people other than Christian, like, twice.
Yeah.
She goes to, like, at this scene, like, she goes to, like, an art gallery, like, exposition that her friend has. And then later on in the movie, she's hanging out with a group of friends that includes the same guy, and Christian isn't there. But, like, so, like, his art exposition is, like, all photos of her, and she's surprised by this. Like, they all appear to be, like, nice studio photos of her. And she's like, where do these come from? That was something that really confused me. I really like... I know my sister is actually a pretty big fan of these, like, books and movies. Even she conceded that they were really stupid in a lot of ways. I would like to sit down with her and just ask her every single issue I had, like, what is that about? Because that confused me. I was like, why is she like, these are all of me? I'm so shy and uncomfortable. I'm like, you went to his studio and, like, had him photograph you, and he's like a photo artist.
If I had to assume, I mean, the movie obviously doesn't tell you anything about it, but if I had to assume, perhaps he may have said it under false pretenses, like, oh, hey, I'm just going to do this for, like, I don't know, my scrapbook or something. But yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from.
That just, like, confused me. And then, of course, she's there. And then this also, like, oh my god, every individual thing bothers me so much. Like, someone comes over and, like, whispers in her friend's ear, and he's like, he looks excited, and he comes over and he's like, oh my gosh, you're not gonna believe it, it's so great, some dude just bought all of the pictures of you.
Oh, I wonder who that could have been.
And he says this to her. He says this to her as if that's a good thing. Like, who wants to hear, hey, a rich old dude just bought a ton of photos of you to hang in his house? How awesome is you specifically and no one else?
Oh my god, I just realized how creepy that is.
Would you go tell your friend that? Like, yo, I was selling, like, photos of you, and the same dude wanted all of them. He paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to have your face looking at him 24/7. Like, and then, of course, it's Christian Grey. But, like, what if it wasn't? What if it was just some old dude?
Well, then we wouldn't have a 50 Shades Darker movie then.
Like, again, I feel like every single time I criticize this, to be fair, maybe he knew who it was. He doesn't say that he knew who it was.
Well, considering that the woman just came in almost unexpectedly to tell him that someone had bought these pictures, I don't think he knew at all.
Yeah. So, like, the movie doesn't give any indication that he knows that, like, she knows this man who bought them. So, legit, just she comes over to his friend and is like, I am so excited that I just made a lot of money by selling an old rich man a bunch of photos of you. I guess he's not that old, but I would assume he was old. Don't worry, they're very tasteful. Nothing weird here.
This is the beginning of the movie, we should point out. Like, the first 5 minutes.
This is like the 10-minute mark. And so there's so much more. These aren't even any of, like, the actual issues.
Oh, but it's just nitpicks.
And, like, so of course, like, she's like, I am angry at you, Christian Grey. But within 5 minutes, they're, like, back together again, and she's, like, forgiven him for everything.
I'd almost call it abusive if there were, like, any abuse. I don't know.
It's very, like, all of it is extremely suspect. Of course, we're not the first ones to point out that, hey, maybe 50 Shades of Grey is, like, not a healthy relationship being depicted. That's not original.
Yeah, I mean, if I think I think I should probably save this criticism for later, but if the movie had kind of focused more on exploring, like, why he's doing this, which, I mean, to be fair, it does, but perhaps make it a bit more interesting and less dumb.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's dumb. It's very dumb. Okay, so they get back together, but the one thing that I do want to point out, like, so they had, like, over, like, a dinner date scene, they, like, make amends, and they're like, this time, you know, it's gonna be better and different. She says very clearly to him, okay, Christian, but no more secrets. okay, like she's like, no more secrets, and he's like, okay, cool, no more secrets. Literally half an hour later, she like learns that she has like a crazy ex-girlfriend, and like finds a picture of her in his room, and is like, who's this? And he's like hesitant, and she's like, you don't need to tell me if you don't wanna.
That was his mother, I think.
Was it? Okay, it was like
yeah.
it was something, and like she was like, who's this? And he was like, and she was like, you don't need to talk about it if you don't wanna. And I was like, what about the fucking secrets?
Well, I mean, I think before that he had already kind of explained that his mother had died from an overdose or something.
I don't know. It just struck me as very weird when it was because I don't know. It just struck me as very strange when she was like, I need you to be really, really open with me because we're being really weird. So for this to not be ultimately creepy, then I don't. And then she was like, I'm curious about this, but oh well.
There are a lot of inconsistencies as we've been kind of just going back and forth pointing out. I want to just talk about just very briefly, because there's nothing really interesting to talk about regarding this next topic, the sex scenes.
Oh, okay. Like scene by scene, or
not scene by scene, just in its entirety.
Because you know what there was a surprising amount of in that movie.
A surprising amount of a lack of chemistry.
I mean, no, that was completely expected. No, I just thought there was a surprising amount of completely normal sex. Like, for like, I felt like that was like half of it. Like, half of it was just them being normal.
Yeah, from what I can tell, a lot of BDSM folks have critiqued the movies for being so safe.
Like I was kept waiting, like, what I'm trying to remember, like, the weird things they did. Like, they do a couple of weird things, but even like the final sex scene that is supposed to be like, oh my god, it's the sex. Like, obviously, like, they even build it up as like they like hinted at things earlier, and like there's like a secret room in his apartment,
the red room,
where like she finds it before and like looks, and it's like full of like stuff, you know.
So much stuff. Like I'll admit that there was a lot of stuff.
There is no way he's used all that stuff. Some of that stuff is just for show. Like, some of it doesn't even look practical. But like the thing that, so then like at the end, like towards the end of the movie at least, she's like, take me to the red room, and they do, and I swear, like, what they then engage in is like she wears like handcuffs for like 30 seconds
and a blindfold,
and then they take them off and just do normal, and that's it. That's like the ultimate scene in what is supposed to be like the kinky sex movie. It was like, okay, put on the handcuffs. Okay, I'm putting them on. Okay, that's enough. Calm down, for the love of God. Just get back to the missionary, please. There were some oils involved. That was like nice, I guess.
What I think kind of prevented them from going further with this kind of thing, possibly was like they were going for the R rating. I mean, what they were just showing was just kind of like, you could see it happening, but none of the specific details. And in order for you to have a movie like that and still maintain an R rating so that you have a wider audience, and on NC-17 rating, that's kind of what you have to do.
Yeah, it was, but it just ended up coming across as strange because like it doesn't make any adjustments for like those decisions. Like the choice to kind of like scale it back for the R rating, I understand that choice. I know why you got to make that choice. You could, like, you know, at least maybe hint that the stuff is going on, because what it then feels like is like, man, this relationship is just all based around like crazy sex, but we see the sex that happens and it's never that weird. And so it just seems odd. Like, you could like cut away, like, oh, so like now that you've seen like the stuff, you're not going to see the real stuff though, because there's real stuff going on. Like, you could at least, like, hint that stuff is happening, but they just choose not to.
I mean, they kind of sort of did that with the first movie. I mean, like, the first sex scene in that movie was her losing her virginity. And I mean, they did the same things that they did with all the other sex scenes in this movie. They didn't show anything specific, but they at least implied they went all the way through. Let's put it that way.
I feel like a lot more could have been implied in this movie, and it, like, at least as far as the sex goes, it would have been better for it.
Yeah, they to me it just seems like they kind of cut it off. Like, you only showed that first half of the scene.
And I've said this to several people, and all of them have been like, "Oh my god." The only, like, scene that, like, made me go like, "Oh my god, okay, really?" is he had, like, this weird, like, leg spreader thing.
I remember that.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And I swear to God, he busts this thing out. So, like, what it does is, like, he, like, attaches it to, like, her ankles.
Yeah.
And then, like, he, like, pops it out. It's like a pole that, like, pops out and, like, spreads her legs. And I swear, when he stood there and he, like, popped that thing out, he looked like Donatello from the Ninja Turtles. It was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Tell me that's not what it looked like.
It kind of does.
Just Donatello from the Ninja Turtles. The bow staff. That was the first thing that popped in my mind. I think I was laughing for, like, a solid 5 minutes. I think people were very angry at me in the theater. Especially because then he takes it and he, like, just, like does, like, a spin with it and, like, boops her right over. And, like, I don't think the actress was ready for it. She kind of looked like, oh god.
Oh man.
Oh no.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, what actually really infinitely kills, like, any sexiness or any kind of tension or chemistry,
because it is not a sexy movie.
Yes, it is not. Like, and what kills it for me for these scenes is the music. And I know this is everything but music, but let me just break that rule for just 1 second, please. The music choice for all of the sex scenes is awful. So bad.
The music is relevant in this one. Like, okay, like, again, we're talking about music. But that being said, like, it's such a strange... They do actually, like, no joke, occasionally time his thrusts to the music.
I wouldn't be
They
surprised.
do actually... There is, like, a moment, like, towards the end where, like, the beat drops as he, like, and, like, it is so... You know which one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like, and the other ones are just strange. Like, they bone to, like, Nick Jonas.
Yeah, I mean, the first scene, though, was just, like, full-on trap. It wasn't, like, sexy at all. It was kind of there, but then it's just, like, boom, boom.
Not much of the music is sexy. Like, the big, like, hit single from the soundtrack is obviously that awful Taylor Swift and Zayn song. And that song doesn't even play while they have sex. It plays while they're, like, on a boat. Yeah, they're like, boat. And it's just like, I don't want to live. And that's pretty much what the note is. And, like, that's what made me realize, like, man, when this movie is not just, you know, actual porn, this is one of the least sexy movies I have ever seen. Nothing other than the actual physical sex in this movie is the least bit sexy, because I'm watching the two of these people just drive a boat to Taylor Swift and Zayn. This is doing nothing for me.
All right. There's, like, one scene that almost kind of hit that mark, but it like, didn't. But it almost did. What did you think of the scene where Christian tells Anna to take her underwear off, and he kind of fingers her in an elevator?
That was the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen. That was what I was talking about when I was like, man, if you're turned on by just dumb shit, you will be all hot and bothered during this movie. You're just like, all right, we're in an elevator full of stuffy old people. What if I just fingered you right now? Hear me out.
At least they showed a bit of variation. like with the voyeurism and shit, but
it was like different, but I was just still kind of left like this. Literally, I understand that the point of the movie is that you guys are like weirdos, like sex obsessed weirdos. This is stupid, guys. For the love of God, just get a room. Weren't they on the elevator like to his apartment?
I think they were like in a high-rise restaurant or something, and they were going downstairs or something. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Like literally anything other than what you did. Like it was just so strange. And she was just like, I was like, this is dumb. I feel like I have a reverse boner right now.
It's just kind of folding in and of itself.
I could not be less interested in what's happening on
my balls are literally going back to where they were.
I was just, I don't know. Like, and obviously, like, I'm going in thinking too hard about this movie because I'm not the target demographic, but I was just like, he's really, the man is actually fingering her in an elevator full of old white people. Why is this happening? Oh God, like how someone is watching this and being like, oh yeah, that's what I came to 50 Shades of Grey for. And I don't want to be that. I don't want to be in the same room as that person. And I probably was.
Yeah, this is what middle class mothers think is sexy.
I was a little bit more confused by the scene. I thought you were going to talk about like the scene where with the ball.
The two balls specifically.
Oh, that's right. There weren't two ball. And what kind of frustrated me about that scene is that she actually was like, "So what do they do?"
And he doesn't
no, like what do they
anything.
like? What do they do? And he was
I mean,
like,
it's clear what they do.
I'm like, there are only so many things that you put in that area of your body, and they usually only perform a select number of tasks. Anastasia.
I don't know. Maybe it could have been one of those clacker things where you like clack the balls together.
Is this what is it? Like a Newton's cradle? Oh my God, it's a thoughtful gift. I'll put it on my desk. Like I and then she was like, "Oh, that's what they do." I was like, "Yes." As a matter of fact, it is. And then like oh God, that was just kind of that was one moment where I was like, "Okay, that's weird. Yeah, that's weird." I don't understand why you're doing it, because again, you're just going to like a party. Why do you need to have like, again, and like Christian is the one who's like, I want you to do this, and I'm like, this has nothing to do with you. This will not affect you in any way.
Oh boy. So before we get back to the actual plot,
I was gonna say, is there a plot to this movie?
Before we get back to that, what did you think of the acting performances of just basically all the people?
I mean, I didn't find any of them to be like, I guess, particularly terrible. Maybe they were just all like, none of them were good in any sense of the word. There weren't too many moments where I was just like, okay, wow, you are just the worst. I don't really know any of the actors' names. Whoever played Christian Grey, I understand that he's supposed to be like, oh, I'm just this, I refuse to open up to anyone. I am a rock. Wow, he was dull and boring and not sexy.
Yeah. He was probably my least favorite actor, because like at some point he's like, where the fuck have you been? And he just says it so poorly.
Okay, I know exactly what I was like. There was at least one scene where I was like, yeah, the acting was really bad. That was the one. There was one where he was like, where the fuck have you been? And I was like, you didn't have any other takes of that one? You want to run that back from the start? Maybe like get into it a little more? That was rough.
Yeah. I mean, I thought Dakota Johnson was okay. She just sounds so dry. And...
Yeah, I mean, it is all oddly dry. Like, it is all oddly like, I don't know if it's that like, oh, if they're barely characters, then I can more easily put myself in their shoes, because it's like a fantasy movie. It might be some of that, but it was just like, it is just like almost concerningly flat from the two leads.
Yeah, let me put it this way. Your movie is kind of fucked if Rita Ora, of all people, does a better performance than your two leads.
She was like She was the best friend, right?
She was the younger sister of Christian Grey.
Yeah, so she was, and I think isn't she really good friends with on Anastasia? Wasn't like a thing?
I think that was a different person. I did kind of get them confused at some point.
Okay. I mean, I remember literally every other character, even like Artman had like the weird personality quirk of being totally into telling his friends terrible news. So like, I don't know. They did strike me as like the two least interesting characters in the movie. Not that the movie is chock full of interesting characters, but they were definitely played probably the shallowest. There's not much to either performance.
Oh boy. Okay. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get back to the actual plot. I think we stopped at the first scene. I mean, we talked about the scene, so let's just kind of continue from.
Oh yeah. So then, I mean, what happened? Then they boned. They had again very normal sex. Well, that's the thing. For like a little while, they're like, we're gonna have a vanilla relationship.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, like his word when he's like, I don't want a normal relationship. He calls it like, it's a vanilla relationship, which leads to a particularly awful moment where they're shopping. And you know immediately what I mean. And like they pass like the ice cream, and like they're talking about like, this is lame. I don't even know how I feel about this. And then she like takes out a thing of ice cream and chucks it to him, and he looks at it, and it's like Ben and Jerry's pint of vanilla ice cream. And she's like, and she just looks. It was like, I mean, the product placement I thought was kind of hilarious, because it was just like, wow, that's definitely Ben and Jerry's, isn't it? But she just looks at me and she goes like, vanilla, your new favorite flavor. And I was like, wow, like it was like, that was like some Sharpay from High School Musical level shit.
They probably couldn't have made it any worse if the guy, like Christian, just looked at the camera and said, "New Ben and Jerry's vanilla, now at your local Walmart."
I mean, he might as well have caught it and be like, "Hi, I'm Christian Grey. You might know me as a rich and successful billionaire who also is into some really, really weird shit. And if you want to be like me, you're gonna have to drink, eat. I don't even care. Just somehow ingest Ben & Jerry's vanilla ice cream. It's good for the soul." Like, I don't even know. It was just so. I mean, there was plenty of like Apple product placement that hardly bothers me. Like,
so much.
There was a ton of Apple product placement, but like those I kind of get, because at this point people are like you have to like cover them up, and then you have like weird laptops that just have nothing on them. I don't know. Like, that doesn't bother me as much. It was still bad, and I feel like could have been done better. But the Ben and Jerry is just like, you couldn't like make like a fake label.
Yeah.
Like, all you had to do was like no one cares. Just make it it could have just. You didn't even need to show the ice cream. I could have just surmised it was vanilla flavored.
Indeed.
And then I don't even remember. Like, I'm trying to remember like that. There's very little that like happens in the movie.
Well, actually, what does happen is that the movie, like, amazingly, like, transforms from some really try-hard, kinky sex movie into the most generic, dullest drama that you've ever seen. It's quite fascinating.
So the stuff with the boss is kind of what happens first, right? Well, I guess, like, things are introduced, and then, like, there's very little, like, connecting plot. There's not like a running conflict throughout the film that is then resolved, other than like the continuing conflict of their love. Like, I guess that's your main conflict. But the thing is, like, things happening. Like, it's very strange in that like the conflict that is resolved that kind of like leads to like what seems like the emotional climax.
Oh God, don't even get me started on that, no.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. Like, is introduced basically 5 minutes before it resolves. Like, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yes,
but, like,
okay.
Legit,
yes.
like, probably like the conflict that I would say like feels most movie-like when it is over. Like, oh, okay, that's the conflict that has been resolved, and now like everything after this is kind of like anti-climax. Not like, I don't know, like descending action. Again, like, is introduced like 10 minutes before it's resolved, and at least an hour 15 minutes into the film. It's very strange, but I think the first thing that is kind of like, again, brought up and then immediately resolved is Anastasia's boss at her like publishing house,
a Mr. Jack Hyde. Yes.
Oh, you caught his name. Impressive. I did not.
I mean, I caught the name, but that's going to be for another reason that I'm going to save to the end of this podcast.
Oh boy. Basically all that happens, like, literally, like, again, this is the whole thing, like, he steadily kind of, well, in some ways he steadily starts acting like more and more of a jerk, but not really, because all, like, he asks her out for drinks with coworkers, which is like, okay, he does it in a kind of creepy way, but it's not that creepy. He asks her to attend a business meeting in New York.
Okay, yeah.
And she's essentially like, no.
Well, I mean, she says yes at first, but then Christian tells her no.
Yeah, well, he's like yes and then no, and then, like, she also just didn't know she was supposed to come in the first place, so, like...
Oh, yeah, there's that, yeah.
Like, that was kind of suspect. And then, like, in the end, like, what it all builds up to, all 3 events and 15 minutes of screen time tops, is that, like, he then, like, comes on to her and is like, because probably the creepiest thing is that Christian, I keep forgetting, like, the actual creepy parts, is that Christian buys the company that Anastasia works for, because of course he needs to control every element of her life.
Oh yeah. I just remembered the that scene, the kind of almost rape scene, or at least, like, maybe sexual assault. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, he most certainly, like, sexually assaults her. Yeah, yes. The boss, like, eventually does, like, again, this leads to the boss, like, locking her in his office and, like, trying to sexually assault her.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable scene.
No, well, it's uncomfortable until he says, like, probably my favorite line in the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
I can make you come harder than anyone else.
Yes. And this is, by the way, keep in mind, this is right after he was like, yo, I can teach you so many things because I'm so smart. That was really stupid, because he said it in such, like, a legitimate way. And I'm like, you can't prove that. I have no reason to believe that. You are not giving me any evidence right now, nor have you in the past. Get out of my face, please. And she just knees him in the dick. Like,
did she, like, twist his arm or something before that, though? I heard, like, a cracking sound, but I wasn't watching.
I think, and then she knees him in the balls real good. He does say that. He really does say, like, and it's like, it's supposed to be like scary. He's like, I can make you come harder than anyone else. Like, you're supposed to be like, damn, he can really make me come real hard. You know, I can.
I should probably be with this guy instead of Christian. What?
Like, he also said something stupid like, you can either fuck your way to the top, or you can get with someone who's gonna make you smarter. And I'm like, are you my mom? Are you, like, giving me practical life advice right now, or are you trying to sexually assault me? Oh, it's the second one. Okay, this is weird then. And then of course, like, since Christian owns the company, or the boss is then fired.
Yes.
So he seems to exit the plot, but oh boy,
that is correct.
He returns. I mean, he exits the plot, but he does not exit the movie.
We'll save that again for the later.
For the ending of the film is, I would just say, the greatest thing ever. But again, we'll talk about that.
It's so fantastic. Let's talk about that creepy girl.
What I wanted. Okay, we can talk about the creepy girl, but I wanted to, like, I just want to kind of wrap up, because the business thing doesn't really, like, her job doesn't really matter after this point in the film. Except I really need to talk about what I think is my favorite scene in the entire film, for a number of reasons.
Okay.
So she's kind of like the assistant of this boss guy.
Yeah.
That's what it came across as, at least. So when he is fired for, again, sexually assaulting her, first of all, she is kind of the one who they have take his place, like, slowly and then kind of permanently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which I don't really know how much I'm not a businessman, but I wasn't quite sure how much I bought that. But regardless, what does make sense is that he's like, he had a meeting today and you're the only one in the office who like knows everything he was working on at the moment. So like, could you fill into the meeting? And she's at first like, oh no. And then she's like, oh wait, yes I can. So what it leads to is this like couple minute scene where she is in an editor's meeting for this publishing company. And what follows is some of the most hilarious, lazy writing I think I've ever encountered in a film. It had already kind of like, I should have like seen it coming because like it was kind of like foreshadowed. Like he had her do some like, do some reading of manuscripts and like, just to like show that like, oh, she knew what she was talking about. They included some dialogue early in the film where the boss was like, oh, did you read this manuscript? And she was like, oh yeah, I thought it was great. And just to show that she really knows what she's talking about, they had her say, it's really just incredible. The parallels with the Divine Comedy are just absolutely outstanding. And I'm like, well, fuck you. That's like the most basic ass thing you could possibly write. Really, it parallels the Divine Comedy. Incredible. You must have read so many books. Because I'm not even a book guy. I don't read. But, like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so will every other person in the audience. And if you said that to your boss at, like, a publishing company, they'd probably be like, okay, I'm not fucking impressed that you know what the Divine Comedy is. And also, that's, like, the first thing you had to say. So, like, that was already, like... And, like, that's just a type of writing where it's like, oh, she needs to say something to prove she really knows what she's talking about. But, like, the actual writers don't really know what they're talking about. So they have to, like, look something up. And that type of, like, logic is essentially what this entire scene consists of. Like, she goes in this meeting and the other editor is like, we need to only publish books by, like, established authors. And she's like... Well, what I think is that we really need to like invest in like upcoming authors. For example, this one guy online has like he's an online author who's really getting a lot of attention. His
40,000 hits. That's
his newest thing has like 40,000 hits, and I sat there like wanting to tear my hair out of my head because no one has said hits since 2007.
I was thinking that.
I don't think it's ever been a thing. Like, what does hits mean?
Like, internet hits, website hits, clicks. It would have been made more sense if they said clicks.
Say clicks, say impressions, say views, say something people actually say.
40,000 hits. Oh, man. That's a hard beating.
Isn't that just, like, such, like, just, like, we didn't know what to say and people say hits. Like, if you were, and, like, she's supposed to, like, again, this is supposed to be a scene where she, like, is demonstrating how much she knows. Like, she is blowing them away with her knowledge. And she's saying, he has 40,000 hits on the interwebs. And, like, she then goes on to be like, and he's really popular in the 18 to 24 demographic, which really is the demographic that we should be targeting 100%, which is like marketing 101. If you know literally anything about marketing, like I know that, and I have not taken like a marketing class. I have been in a class that briefly touched upon marketing. And even I know that the 18 to 24 demographic is the demographic you should be targeting. Like, if you know one, and it's just frustrating, it's like, if you just dropped that in a meeting, it'd be like, well, yeah, fucking duh. They wouldn't be like, yes, I had not considered this. Maybe the young people are the ones we should be targeting. It's just so immensely frustrating. And what, like, the entire scene I found, like, hilarious on its own. And I don't know if you know this even. I only know this because my friend afterwards went up and looked up reviews for the movie, and she sent me. What she did do is she sent me an excerpt of a review, and I just want to read it quickly.
Go ahead. Yeah.
It pertains to the scene because we both thought the scene was so funny. And it's like, it starts out referencing another thing. It says, at least that detail was charming, as opposed to the one where Anastasia, working as an editor for a publishing company, has a meeting with her bosses where she exalts the work of online authors. For those who don't know, James, the person who wrote the books, started out as an online author. So she basically made sure there was a specific scene in the movie that congratulated her on her work. Say what you will about Twilight, but at least no one in that movie says, boy, Mormons who write young adult fiction sure are great.
Hold on. Wait. Hold on. That scene wasn't in the book?
No, it wasn't.
Oh my God.
No, that scene was not in the book. My sister did tell me that. Because I mentioned that scene to her in specific. I was like, that's...
You fucking dick!
Again, that scene in particular just made me laugh, so I brought it up to my sister when she saw it a couple days later. She saw it on Valentine's Day. And I was like, that scene was really dumb. And she was like, yeah, that scene wasn't in the book. And I was like, wait, really? She's like, yeah, I don't know why they included that. And now I know. So, yeah.
Oh my God.
One of the stupidest scenes in the especially stupid movie exists literally only to pat on the back the author.
Wait, hold on. The script wasn't written by E.L. James. It was written by her husband.
Yeah, exactly. It's so fucked.
So wait. What if she didn't know about this and this is just... Maybe they're in a bad relationship and he's trying to compensate. So he added that scene in the movie.
I got you a Valentine's Day present. I validated your career choice in the screenplay. Isn't it great? Just now I have all kinds of questions. Her husband is like a screenwriter and she's like a novelist. Because if he's not a writer, why couldn't she write her own screenplay? So I've got this one, honey. That strikes me as very strange.
Oh my. Holy shit.
And so despite the fact that like during this entire portion of the movie, her career is something that is allegedly very important to Anastasia. Essentially, after that meeting where we validate, oh, she really knows what she's talking about, hits. It's pretty much not brought up significantly after that. But yes, I do want to talk. Before I went on that, I do want to talk about the creepy girl because she was hilarious.
I love her introduction where she's like, Anna, it's something like that. And like, do I know you? No, you don't know me. And then it just ends.
No, you don't know me.
It just ends.
And then she just walks away.
What?
I thought for 100% sure that she was a ghost.
I almost did too.
Mostly because there was like legit a scene where like they were like in bed or something and she just appeared in the room with like spooky music, and I guess that was supposed to be like a hallucination or something or a dream, but it was very odd.
Yeah. And then like apparently she's one of Christian's former submissives. We find that out later in this. Christian says it explicitly, which, I mean, that was kind of stupid. I mean, there's another scene where you probably could have put that in there, made it a bit more compelling. But, I mean, this is 50 Shades of...
Yeah, they did kind of drop it a little early.
Yeah. It's dumb.
What kind of frustrated me, I mean, like, I don't want to just, like... I guess we can just, like, kind of explain her whole... deal. Is like, so she's, like, all, like, cracked out, I guess, and like she's like a drug addict. And
well, I mean, from what I can tell, she's like one of her former submissives. She wanted more in the relationship. He didn't, so she went away. She got a husband and they were married, but then the husband died, and then she went on a big mental breakdown.
So like she's trying to like get Christian back to some extent. It also leads to a weird moment where like he pulls out his files on all of his submissives, and that was kind of gross.
So stupid.
And she's like, do you have a file on me? And he's like,
Yep.
Yeah, I do. I remember in like, because like then she was like, oh, so I'm just another one of your submissives, and I was like imagining him being like, nah, your file is laminated, you're special. Like, trust me, baby. But it like, kind of like, so she just kind of like, this creepy girl kind of just stalks Anastasia until like the climactic scene again of this subplot, one of the various, where like she turns up in Anastasia's apartment with a gun, and the situation is resolved when Christian comes in and like commands her like a dog to like put the gun down and like sit, essentially. Like, he basically like tells her like sit.
No, kneel. That's what he said. Kneel.
Yeah. Okay, he said kneel. And it's creepy. And for the first time, Anastasia is like, "Oh God, that's weird. I don't want a piece of that." Like that kind of like.
It did a thing.
Well, I think then she kind of like, she gets angry at him. I don't really know why, because it didn't like, we didn't learn anything about him. It's like, yeah, he has weird, uncomfortable, unsafe relationships with people, including you. And what did you not know about how did you knew that? The man has files, Anastasia. He's creepy. We know this. I think like what they went with is she's like, oh, so that's what you want from a relationship, huh?
What?
I remember her saying something like that. She's like, I can't give you that. And I'm like, yeah, he broke up with her. He didn't marry her. So, of course, he doesn't want that.
Very conflicting emotions.
I'm like, yes, leave him you have legitimately a million different possible explanations for why you could leave this guy at any given second.
I wanted to tell my friend that while we were watching the movie that we could leave at any second.
We have 100 reasons to possibly leave. Like, but the one you choose is I'm too unlike your ex. Like, that's the one that's like, this is over.
That's still a pretty valid reason to leave the movie, in my opinion.
No, I meant like breaking up with Christian.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I was just saying that.
Oh, okay.
Literally, for any reason, get out of that theater.
You don't need an excuse. Having ever walked in is a good enough excuse to walk out. But again, like, that's another one where like this is built up throughout the movie. Like, there's this creepy girl. Who is she? Okay, now we know who she is. Oh my God, is she gonna hurt Anastasia? Is she gonna hurt Christian? Is she gonna hurt herself? Oh my God, what's gonna happen? And it's over. And that was it. It was done.
It's not over yet, folks. So, boy, there are two more specific points that we need to talk about. First off, the neighbor thing. The neighbor, Elena, I think her name is.
I don't even know if I remember that. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, the neighbor, like, when they're at the big ball and Anna goes to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah. That one.
Yeah.
Wait, wasn't that that was his business partner? Who,
exactly. And then she's all like, you need to break up with him if you know what's good for you.
Okay, yeah. It's the same person you were talking about earlier. I thought you were trying to talk about a different person.
No, that was the same person.
Yeah, that one barely even gets developed. That one's basically like 2 to 3 scenes.
Mm-hmm.
It starts when like they're like going to a party. Like, they're going to like, what is it?
Massive ball.
Like the masquerade ball.
Yeah.
And she's like, I need to go get my hair done. He takes her like to his like weird neighbor he used to be her sub to have her do her hair.
Actually, I think it was like someone else who did her hair, but
wasn't it?
It was someone else, but I think she was there.
It was like something like he took her to like meet this woman.
Well, I mean, from what I can tell, she was at the salon because she co-owns the salon with Christian.
Oh, yes, that was it. Okay. Yeah, okay. And she was like, how could you take me to this? And then this woman turns up at the party and is like, you need to leave him. He's unhealthy. He's not good for you. He just wants to own you. And I don't think you're a woman who wants to be owned. And she's like, actually, Christian is a nice guy. He's sweet. I've got balls in me right now. That conversation took place with the balls in, right?
I think so.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go and remove the balls real quick.
Wait, no, actually, I think like there was a sex scene in that the ball event, and
yes,
I think
that's right. That's right, because they awkwardly left the party, had the spanking scene, which, by the way, I know we talked about the sex already, but the spanking scene was really weird because it was all like, I want you to spank me, Christian. And then it was like 3. It was like 3 spanks. And then we're done. Then right back to normal sex again.
Yeah, and they had the balls removed, so the balls weren't in there when she was talking to Elaine.
Okay, I was trying to remember. I was like, I know it was at the same event, but I feel like the balls weren't in. I don't know.
Oh boy.
But yeah, again, the only payoff that gets is that at the end she says basically the same thing in the presence of Christian, and then Christian's mom chews her out.
Which, I mean, that always kind of confused me. Like, this woman had been banging your adoptive son for like 6 years, and you just choose this moment to slap her just because you're not satisfied that she hasn't left Christian. Like, Anna hasn't left Christian yet. Like, what?
It was very strange. Like, and I was like, how much does she know? Does she know that that happened? Because if so, why are you inviting her to the same functions as your son?
Exactly. It's just like any sane person.
I know you literally had a terrible impact on my son from a young age, but you also said mean things that caused my daughter-in-law to throw a drink in your face. So you're out of my life forever. Bye. It's just strange. And keep in mind that all of these things we're talking about happening are the closest thing this has to narrative events.
It's very scattershot.
It's just kind of something happens and then something else happens, and I would like to say it has a lot of subplots, but it doesn't really have a main plot.
Yeah, I mean, we could go back to the main plot right now if you want to. Do you want to talk about that?
What's the main plot? They have a relationship and they occasionally get angry at each other and have sex a bunch.
I mean, yeah, but then there's the climax of that relationship. And
okay, so that's basically all of the plot, outside of the romance between Christian and Anastasia, which comes to a head in what is just one of the most hilariously self-contained moments that I think I've ever seen in a film. What happens in these 5 to 10 minutes has almost nothing to do with anything else in the movie, and yet serves as maybe the key plot event. So basically, literally just one day, Christian is on a trip to, and there's no introduction of this either. I think they make mention he's going somewhere on a business trip a couple times.
Yeah.
Whereas, all of a sudden, cut to a shot of Christian Grey flying a helicopter in the woods. And then they're flying. It's huh, what a beautiful day. Oh God, the helicopter is crashing. And then there's the helicopter crashes. This is pretty much it. Just here's a helicopter. Christian Grey's flying it, and now it's been crashed. And then it's back in Seattle. It's oh no, Christian's helicopter crashed. Oh God, what are we gonna do? Everyone's very upset and sad, and they're watching the news, and it's oh, people don't know where he is. What's going on? Blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah, we found him, and then he comes in.
And then exactly, and then literally 5 minutes after this of screen time after this whole thing started, the news is actually we're hearing reports that Christian Grey has been found safe and sound. And literally 2 minutes later he walks into the apartment.
No, it's 2 seconds. It's literally right after they say that he comes in.
It really is Christian Grey's been found safe. Yay! And then he just walks in. They're oh God, he's safe. It is I really without seeing the movie, I can't explain to you how out of nowhere this comes. It just has like I said, like I've gotten like some like snarky comments from like people who have talked about the movie too. I'm like, things just happened, like literally just things happen in that movie. People are like, "What? Isn't that all movies? Things just happen." I'm like, no, but they like had no they had no like nothing to do with each other, like no setup, no payoff, just a thing happened. It was not like arranged into like a story way, I guess.
Yeah, from what I can tell, it seems like this is the catalyst for Anna realizing how much she loves Christian, which, I mean, we've already...
I think that was the point it was supposed to serve, but that also was kind of undermined by the fact that, like, this is cemented by when he gets home. She's like, open your birthday gift, because it's his birthday, and it's like a little like keychain that has like I do like yes written on it.
Which, I mean, we probably should have mentioned this before, like,
because she's like accepting his proposal. Like he proposed earlier in the movie, kind of.
That's not important.
He didn't even do it. Well, I mean, like he didn't even do it like he didn't do it like officially. You're just like, I want you to marry me. She was like, okay, whatever. Maybe I fucking will. Maybe I won't. I don't give a shit. And so she's like, yeah, but like the thing is, like, so this like scene is supposed to be like her like realizing like, oh man, I would have been so sad if he was dead. That must mean I really love him. But she had bought this for him she bought this for him a couple days in advance and given it to him saying, don't open it until your birthday. So like the significance of that moment had been established well before this. Like she would have said yes and like they would have then been engaged regardless of whether or not he crashed a fucking helicopter. Like that was the problem for me. Like if it was more of like a, oh my god, I was thinking about it and I wasn't sure before, but now I know. Like no, she had made up her mind days in advance. Like, yes, I want to marry you.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh god, yeah.
And then, but then like this was supposed to be the moment she realized, but she already had realized days ago. That's why she had a gift on hand to tell him yes. Because she had been planning this.
Yeah, and I mean, I could talk about like with the whole helicopter crash, how like I don't know what the names are, but there are like official governing bodies that have to investigate shit like this, like regardless of the incident, and it's like I don't buy it. It was fucking cheap, and that was the point where the movie became like an absolute shitfest for me. Like up until that point, it was just bad. And after that, it was just nope.
Yeah, yeah, like right there is where it was like, oh god, they really don't care at all. Like this is just a terrible movie. Like that, yeah. Then it was like again, it did seem like we have no idea where he is. I was like, how? Tell me this multi-billionaire was just flying a helicopter in the middle of the forest and like no one had any idea. Doesn't have any GPS. Doesn't have like anything going on. I don't know. It was like, why would they literally just be like, we have no idea where he is? What's that? We're just receiving reports they found him like moments ago. Like, how'd you go from no idea to found him? Like, it's because it's more dramatic that way.
And then we have the final scene of the movie.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, like, how it kind of flows is like it goes from like the helicopter crash, he gets back. Then they have like the final sex scene where like they go to the red room, and we already talked about how very dumb that was. That is the scene where they time his thrust to the music. Like there is indeed a real beat drop to a thrust.
If you think hard enough, it almost sounds like Red Rum.
That's what I kind of thought. Like the red rum it's murdering my brain cells.
It's murdering if you look in the mirror.
And so then they have like a party at like his mom's house where they announce like their engagement, and that's where like they have the argument with the old neighbor business partner, and they like essentially kick her out of their lives, which again seems like it should have been done long ago. Yes. And then like what's supposed to be like the big climactic moment of the movie is where like he takes her to like their pool house, like, and it's like a little private moment, and like officially proposes to her. Like he like gets on a knee, like has a ring, and like it's surrounded by flowers, and it's very pretty. And like there are fireworks going off in the distance. That's kind of where the movie ends. It kind of ends on this image of them like watching the fireworks. But there's kind of one other image we get too. That I know you're laughing, so you can go ahead and explain it, and I will add what my favorite details of it are.
So, if you remember that boss character that got kicked in the nuts, last we saw him.
Yeah, last time we saw him, our hero villain man was getting kicked in the nuts.
What was his name? Jack Hyde, I think. Yeah, Jack Hyde. He is at this final scene. He's looking off in the distance, from a distance.
He's like on a hill. Like
yeah.
you can like see the house where the party is happening, like a good distance away.
Yeah, and he's just like, he looks all muggy and all bruised up and all so edgy. And he has he brings up a picture of a photograph of the family, and takes out the cigarette that he has, and then burns Christian's face off.
Yes.
And that's it. And that's the end of the movie.
And that is exactly what he does. Like, again, this villain who we had not seen in some time. And my favorite thing is, I'm not 100, like, maybe you did notice it. I certainly noticed it, only because I was like, that's gonna have relevance later. Is that we do see him one other time in the movie, in between, like, the weird sexual assault scene and...
It was at the ball, wasn't it? He was the guy taking the picture with the smartphone.
Oh, here's the thing. So that's what he does. He's on the hill. He looks angry. He's watching the fireworks. He pulls out a photo of the Gray family, and he like puts his cigarette through Christian's face.
Yes.
Like I'm burning him out. I'm coming for him. So we can assume in 50 Shades more than there were before. And he's gonna be back with a vengeance. The one time that we saw him in between is we saw him at the ball.
Yes.
And what we saw him doing at the ball was taking a photo of a photo on his phone. You remember that he was the photo he was taking was of a photo on the wall of the Gray household.
Why?
So what this man did is he went to the ball, took a photo of a picture hanging on their wall, took the photo on his phone, printed out that photo, or went to like CVS and somehow got it printed out on like photo stock because it looked like it was like real photo paper, and then brought the photo of the photo that he printed out to the hill where he could then watch the fireworks so he could symbolically burn a hole in Christian Gray's face. Did you follow all of those steps?
I did, because I saw the movie.
That is legitimately one of the stupidest things I have ever seen a film end on. Like that, and like it would have been bad enough if it was like just like, okay, he had a photo and then like burned it with a cigarette. No, he took a photo of a photo and then printed that out and burned it with a cigarette.
I don't know. Maybe he had the idea of like, oh, I'm gonna burn it on my smartphone.
Maybe he had the idea that he was a villain in a movie and wanted to look cool, but didn't put that much effort into it. If anything, actually, maybe he put too much effort into it.
Yeah, wait, I actually like this phone. I have a good data plan on it. Let me just print a picture out.
Yeah. Oh man, I got to see him like around his print, and like it was a pretty small photo, so he must have had to like get scissors and like cut it out. Of like the cut the white space on the paper out, and like that must have taken a while because it's always tough to cut it out perfectly.
Like, it would have made more sense if you just had a fucking Polaroid.
You know what? Why didn't they just show him stealing the photo? Even that, like literally anything. Like I would have been totally fine with him like stealing the photo and someone like, oh, where'd this go? But no, he had to take a picture of it. And then it just ends with them being happy. But there's
a third.
Resident dumbass is sitting there burning photos, so all bets are off.
Yeah, and So now that we've kind of finished up that little thing about this entire movie, let me ask this. Do you have any anticipation of watching the last one? It's called 50 Shades Freed. It's going to be coming out the same time next year in 2018.
I mean, to be fair, why would you release it any other time of year?
True, yeah.
No? Fucking no? Unless Hugh Dancy is actually in that one.
Hold on, let me check. Let me just check. No, he's not in there.
I don't believe he's going to.
Yeah, so do you want me to read you the plot synopsis of 50 Shades Freed? Because I read this because I sure so wasn't going to watch this one, so I just kind of want to see how it ended, just out of curiosity.
Go ahead. Is it like a brief like paragraph plot synopsis? Or is it like a full Wikipedia plot synopsis?
It's kind of
because I would kind of like to know what happens, but then at the end, at the same time, like the level at which I actually legitimately don't care is really high.
Yeah. Okay, so let me just... Okay, I have the plot synopsis right here, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. I will just read the highlights.
Okay,
so, hold on, just give me 1 second. Okay, so they just got back from their honeymoon. They're fighting a lot, and then Christian just gives the publishing company as a wedding present.
Amazing. I got you the moon.
It's a very nice moon. You get to publish all your novels on it.
She gets to publish all of the online authors that she wants. The God sends that they are.
I need you to publish this specific author, though. They go by the name of E.L. James. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Yeah, she's gonna get so many hits.
So many hits. 50,000.
Yeah, 60,000, 70,000, 71,000.
Oh my god, so many hits.
All the hits. Okay, so he gives her a company. That's fun.
Yeah, gives her a company wedding present. That's just your average wedding present. They kind of fight again or something because she went out for a drink with her friend, but then they go on a trip and everything's better.
See, this is what I mean when like nothing happens in this film.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's like he gets kind of mad, but then like they do something, so it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. Oh god. Okay. There's some stupid shit about Anna's father getting in a car accident and then into a coma, but then that gets resolved really quickly. And then she finds out that in a hospital visit, she is pregnant.
Oh.
Oh. And then later, like they have another argument about that, but then there's just like, whatever. Then she the Elena person, the neighbor, she texts Christian, and then Anna sees it and she gets mad about that, so they get super angry at each other. But now they're not talking to each other.
Aw, sad.
Yeah, so sad. # first world relationships. And then here's where things start to get really interesting.
I just want to know what happens with Mr. Hyde, and to a lesser extent, Dr. Jekyll.
You want to know what happened to Mr. Hyde?
I do.
You really want to know?
I need to know.
Okay, so he calls Anna while Christian is on a business trip, and he says that he has kidnapped Christian's sister, Mia, the person who's played by Rhea Ora.
Uh-huh.
And he wants $5 million in 2 hours.
$5 million? Gonna have to publish a lot of books.
So he says, not to tell anyone or else he's gonna kill Mia.
Okay.
So then it's just
for the love of God, please, we don't need another Rita Ora album.
So then it's just this whole stupid thing about, like, okay, she can't tell Christian, but she's doing really dumb things because she can't tell Christian or anyone else.
Does she have $5 million?
She does have $5 million because she's fucking rich. But then Christian gets suspicious, and then she lies about something, and she says she's gonna leave him and raise the baby on her own. Like, just so that the sister won't die.
Huh.
Oh, man. Yeah, and then, let's see, so they go to a place, like a gym, to hand over the money, and it turns out that the neighbor... Oh, no, wait, not the neighbor, her coworker. You know that person who, like, gave the really awkward stare?
Uh-huh.
Okay, she's in this movie as well, and she is Jack Hyde's accomplice.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
From what I can tell. I think. I could be wrong.
Okay. Okay, if this turns into, like, 50 Shades hostage rescue...
They don't mention sex at all. They almost don't mention any sex at all.
Oh my god. It's no sex. Sex-free. That's why it's called 50 Shades Freed.
Freed from the poorly done sex.
It's free of sex.
Yes. Oh, that means Christian people can watch it.
I'm glad I know that. I'm glad I know that, because then, like, it'll be especially hilarious when, like, the trailers come out and try to make it still seem like it's the sex movie. Because I'll be like, no, I know this is 911. I know this is 911 hostage rescue.
There's probably just one scene in there, and they're just gonna try to expand that into the whole trailer. It's probably only like 10 seconds long.
Listen, I've kidnapped your friend. These are my demands. You and Christian need to have some really hot sex, or else I'm gonna kill her right now. She's like, I can do that. I can do that for sure.
Well, I mean, she can't do that because Christian is on a business trip. So
shit. We'll just have to Skype.
Oh boy. So that's pretty much the whole plot, and it ends as you would probably expect it. Hyde gets shot in the leg. Christian eventually figures out what the whole thing was about, and he's like, "Oh, okay, so now we're not angry at each other."
Okay,
cool. Then she has the baby, and then it's like set a few months afterwards. Oh no, wait. There's Here's the real kicker. It turns out that Christian and Hyde were in the same foster family.
Oh.
They were in the same foster family.
This dude I do want to repeat how little this character was in the second movie. Like the second of either 3 or 4 movies. I feel like his character should be, I don't think he was in 1 at all, was he? So, like, he was barely in the first 2, and apparently he's going to be, like, insanely crucial to the 3rd.
Keep in mind that the source material, we probably should have pointed this out in the beginning, but the source material, this original trilogy, are, like, bad books, awful books. I've not read them myself, but I'm just going to say they're bad books.
I mean, I have read, I believe, a page.
That's all you need to read, to be honest.
Are you saying they're not genius?
Yeah.
I think it was a page that detailed, like, the contract they had in that first movie. So that was fun.
Yeah. And then, like, there's something where, okay, so, like, after he gets arrested, then this is where the neighbor person comes back in.
Why do we need her again?
She bails Jack Hyde out of spite.
Oh my god. But wait, isn't he under arrest for like some real like hostage ass shit?
Oh wait. Oh my god. No. It's not Alana. No, hold on. It's not the neighbor who bailed the person out. It's the neighbor's husband.
Oh my god. Why are we introducing more characters?
So the neighbor's husband bailed Jack Hyde out. But Christian gets revenge by buying out the husband's logging company and selling it off.
Oh my god. I'm so okay, but like, can you bail someone out for like kidnapping and hostage taking? Is that like a bail? Know. Is that like I don't really know how bail money works. But I feel like if it's like this man literally kidnapped a woman and held her hostage threatening to murder her if not given millions of dollars. I feel like it's like, that's about $500 bail. You can just go. It's like, no, we're not letting him out. We're going to hang on to him for a little while, if you don't mind. I feel like it's one of those crimes.
Yeah. And I should also mention that doesn't go anywhere. And so, yeah, it ends, like I said, it ends as you'd expect it would end. Then they have the baby, and then she gets pregnant again, and then it just ends with, like, they're celebrating the baby's second birthday, and that's it. Like, that's the whole thing.
And then they have sex with the cake.
That would probably be more kinky than anything that has been shown thus far, to be honest.
There's some sweet cake sex.
Sweet cake sex. Cake sex. Okay. That's it. That's all I can take. That's
all I can cake.
Yeah. That's all the 50 Shades that I can handle in one day. Make that 2, actually, because
that's all 50 of them.
Yeah, that's every single shade of gray that we need to discuss. So, did you have any positives for 50 Shades Darker?
I guess it made me feel something. I'm actually trying to think of, like, things that, like, weren't terrible about it, and I guess actually, instead of positives, I have a few extremely nitpicky criticisms. One,
okay,
they were always in an extreme, like, just before we wrap this up, actually just 2. One, there were so many times where, like, so the person who, like, filmed it clearly, like, was behind the camera, clearly had a basic understanding of, like, the rule of thirds and such. Like, they put them to one side of the screen, but then they had them looking the wrong direction. Like, if a character is on the left side of the screen, they should be looking to the right. Because otherwise, they're, like, then, like, their look is, like, filling the screen. Otherwise, like, you just have an empty-ass half of the screen. And that happened so much in that movie. Where just, like, the guy was, like, Christian was on, like, the right side of the screen and was looking to the right. So there's just nothing on the left half of the screen.
Wow.
And it annoyed me a lot. Also, when they were texting, remember those scenes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, like Christian's text would always pop up on the left, and Anastasia's text would always pop up on the right, because that's how, like, texting works and whatever.
Yeah.
But it would, like, literally, like, cover the characters. Like, they were so committed to doing that, because that's how texting works, they would cover up, like, the action of the shot. So, like, all you would be left with is, like, gross text, like, layered over the actual people in the shot, and then, like, an empty half of the screen. Oh, it looked so terrible. And it's so oddly specific that I doubt you even know what I'm talking about. But, if I ever get stuck watching it again, then I will, like, document it. Because it made me so legitimately angry. It's such a dumb choice. Why do they have to be on that side of the screen? And even if they did, just tell the person who's filming it, hey, maybe shoot it to fill up this side of the screen so that one of them's not empty. Those are my positives. Those negatives are my positives.
Besides, I was going to say, like, the only positive I had was that the cinematography is kind of decent, but you almost kind of completely quashed that, so.
It's really not. It's almost okay.
I mean, at least there are some scenes that kind of look nice. Like
at points it is decent.
Like, okay. the pool sequence at the very end, I thought that was pretty. I thought the high-rise restaurant looked nice.
It runs again. It, like, can go from, I would say, good. Nothing is outstanding. It goes from, like, okay, that's good, to, okay, that's really, like, I mean, mediocre, bare minimum, passable, but whatever, to, wow, that is terrible that you just did that completely wrong. Gee whiz. So, yeah, I guess in some moments it does look goodish. But mostly it's just, like, it's all just kind of mostly bad. Like, it's like out of 10 scale, it's like a 3 because it's just not good.
Yeah, well, I mean, my friend and I got some good laughs out of it because of just the ridiculousness of the whole thing.
It did me a chuckle.
So I mean, you can get it for that, but it's really isn't like the funny bad movie. It's
if you're looking for a funny bad movie, you can do a lot better than 50 Shades Darker.
So much better.
There might be something there for you, but it's not even the movie you think it is. It's mostly just dull.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you had planned on watching the 50 Shades movie, I doubt you will now.
So especially don't sit and talk about it for an hour and a half. That's what I recommend you don't do most.
Oh, boy. Well, folks, thank you for listening to what we've been rambling on about for the
This was a pretty
rambly
one.
It was just like us kind of dissecting this movie into various bits and pieces.
That's begging to not be dissected. It's just like, oh god.
I mean, to be fair, I think there was enough justification for such dissection, but
yeah.
But for like maybe normal people, probably not. But you know what? Not being normal is like probably one of the biggest benefits of life that you could have.
I don't think any normal people enjoyed this movie.
9% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I think that liking this movie makes you distinctly abnormal, so congrats.
You're literally part of the 9% who liked this movie if you do.
Well done.
Good for you. So, again, thanks for listening to this thing, and we will see you on the next episode of Everything But Music, where hopefully we'll never, ever, ever have to talk about this stupid-ass waste of time ever again.
Just remember, this podcast can make you come harder than any other podcast. That's a guarantee.
Good addendum. Good. I'm sure the audience will appreciate that.
I think so.